Maybe?
No.
Okay. So we can actually do that, plan on that, and do that at a regular meeting?
Right, right.
So we can actually do that.
The only time we go into executive meeting if there's complaint filed, possible litigation against the town, and any kind of complaint or problems with employees.
Okay.
Those cannot be discussed at public meeting unless the employee or that person involved wants it public, and they have that option. Okay, let's just open the meeting for the budget workshop.
And since I failed to bring my copy with me, did you make any more changes?
I haven't yet, I'm leaving that up to you guys. I do have some suggestions to move some monies from one department to another before we do a final resolution to pass the budget and send it to the state.
Those things you're
So-
looking at wanting to move.
Well, we have these piddly little amounts in public safety, in the police department, for, there's a road and street budget there for $800. I'm looking at, instead of public safety, let's move it to road and street.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, does public, road and street would cover the same as if we needed road signs, which would, I mean, you're just
Right,
consolidating, so.
Right, so it all comes out of the same funds.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
And
And we had a little bit there for the reserves.
Right, and
that
we
needs to
have
probably go
400.
back into the general fund too.
Right, and we have $462 in the reserve fund for the police department, that needs to go back into the general fund.
Did we find out anything more on, with the judge on maintaining, keeping a judge, if we necessarily needed to, or?
We don't, state law says we do not have to have a city judge. I have been asking questions and finding out, talked to the county, or to the Attorney General's office, and in their opinion, we can, because we've contracted with the sheriff's office, they give the tickets, we can send all of those violations and citations to the county, and they in turn would reimburse us some of those monies, which would come back to the town. Now, I've done that before in another town, so I know that would work, but we have to get that set with, at a commissioners meeting, and make sure that that's viable for us.
Do you have an idea how much cut they take?
I know that out of every citation that we issue, $50 of it goes to the victims fund, $20 goes to a support fund for the sheriff's office and the county, because they have to process those, all of that paperwork. And I was under the impression that they're going to raise that fee from $20 to $30 from now on. So if we give a $100 ticket to someone, $85 of that goes to the county anyway.
Whether we have a judge or not.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we're paying out over $10,000 a year for a judge, supplies, office, and all that stuff,
Yeah,
phone,
from
computer.
everything I was looking at, from what it cost us to have her to what we took in off fines, we were negative $7,000
Yeah,
Holy
by
shit.
retaining her.
exactly, exactly.
Excuse me.
So,
Yeah.
we can talk about doing that, in the
What
future.
are the steps?
We would just have to get with the county commissioners and, well, the county actually, and go through a process with them, request that, and get that, they could probably do that. I've talked to a couple
But
of
we did have
commissioners,
to
and it
wait.
might be up to you guys to kind of touch base with them and find out, you know.
What's the downside?
Less violation money coming to the town, which is not great at this point anyway, and as Nate said, we're losing, you know, close to $7,000 as it stands right now.
That would be an upside.
There isn't
That would
yet
be an
tickets
upside.
having to go to red lights, so maybe they won't get tickets.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
they will.
Yeah, well, look at it.
They,
People
we
won't get
have,
the
we have
tickets.
more presence in town with the sheriff's department than we ever had
And I
With
don't care if
full-time
Wyoming
policemen.
people have to go to Red Lodge or not.
Doesn't matter.
I
to
don't
me.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And mostly they
Actually,
just
no,
mail
maybe
their
the
fine
judge
money in
serves
When you have a
council
city
people that
attorney
we
or a
would
city
lose.
court,
Right,
I mean.
and you
There's no
have to
downside.
send out jury notices
Whenever you need a
and
judge.
yeah.
put all
It
this
costs a
on.
lot of money.
Right.
It's a lot of paperwork.
And we have money set aside, last year we had money set aside, it was just called other services. And it was like $1,800. And every other single budget that I've looked at throughout the state for different towns and different cities, they have a set budget for jury, just for juries only.
Uh-huh.
Now, why we've taken monies out of that other services, I don't know. I'll have to look that up and figure out what we were paying out of that line, which should have been for jury duty only.
You would have to be hard pressed to find the last actual jury convened.
I can't remember one.
I can't either, it's been a while,
Yeah,
at least 15 or 20 years.
yeah, so
That convened in Fromberg.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I think that's plenty we could save there.
And I think that happened when,
I think it's a
what's
damn
his
good
name, shot the
idea
dogs
to,
up on,
to start the process
Up on
of
the hill.
eliminating that
Mhm.
city judge.
right, and
So,
then
and her contract expires
December,
this December.
yeah.
So this, if we were to do it, I mean, I'd say we look into, I mean, if there's, I mean, we have the town attorney that draws everything up. I just don't see what we're losing by losing a judge necessarily, especially since
Right.
we contracted out with the police department.
Mhm. And all of those would go through the county court anyway, and then we would get back a small
Well,
portion.
and for that to ever turn to a
They still get
positive,
money
we
back.
would basically need a crime spree to take place. It's
There you go.
basically the negative end of it.
And, yeah, so,
10 tickets a day out
Yeah,
here.
and so I mean, if that's the case, I
and
mean,
we
we've lost
haven't had
control of
that
everything.
since Al McGill left,
Yeah,
you know, and that's been a lot of years ago.
yeah, it is.
So, yeah. So we're looking at moving some monies around now. We do have in the capital assets line, in the revenue, we still have $11,545.50 in that budget line that we can move a little bit. I'd like to say keep a lot of it there, but we could move
Let's leave that 50
$2,000 or
cents there.
$3,000, you know, or whatever if we need it.
Well, where
Now, we also recently, and I did my little happy dance all over my house and everything else. I've been working with Economic Development, Gus Byram at the state for well over a year. Trying to get ways to see what we can do as far as grants, what we can apply for as far as funding to do some infrastructure work. We have had $32,700 and some dollars in our program income fund, sitting in our bank account for 23 years. I got a hold of Gus well over a year ago. We've been hashing this out for this long. He called me last week and said, Shirley, you can do what you need to with those funds. You can fix sidewalks, you can put some in street funds, you can do fire hydrants, whatever you need to do, you can use that money for. We just have to keep track of the cost.
Where it's going.
And where it's going. That's all they require. So, again, I did my little happy dance, and that's worked out. We've got that extra money that we can look seriously at where we want to put some of it. I would like to see a good portion of it go into a restricted fund, and then we can work through the budget over the next budget year and get some more money saved. I'm a saver. I'm a saver.
What are the chances that we can use that into our advantage of, in getting matching funds somewhere?
We could
Yeah.
use part of it, but there again, grant funds are hard to get.
They're time consuming.
They're time consuming, as far as writing the grants, plus you're looking at, if you have someone write a grant, I could do it, but I would prefer not to, because they are so exact.
Detail.
They have to be exact detail.
Hope
and you
can't do that stuff for us?
No, no, and she wouldn't anyway. But, then you have to look at, say if you got Julia Jones to
Mhm.
write a grant for us. You're looking at least 15 to 20% of that grant money going to her for fees.
Hmm.
They don't write grants for nothing.
$200 a month for insurance if she starts.
Right.
Doing
writing
grants?
that.
So we have to figure out a way to apply for grants, which we can do through the resource district over in Joliet. And we can also do that through some state offices such as economic development.
That help us with the process?
That would help us with the process. It's still gonna cost us some money. But there again would be great, but then you go through the process of committees that look at the grants, could take up to 6 months. And you're looking at very little grant money in the state funds as it is. They've opened up new monies for grant funds, but those funds are very limited. You've got 50 to 60 towns and cities applying for those grant monies.
Very, very few grants,
And
if
very
any,
few
for
of them-
road work.
Right, and very few of them are granted for infrastructure.
Hmm.
That's including roadwork, sidewalks, fire hydrants,
So
anything,
we're on our own.
so we're basically on our own. We can get a grant to write a growth policy, but it's gonna cost the town about $10,000. We can get a grant.
And you have to have one of those before you can get some of these monies.
Well, we've adopted the
Right.
growth policy, which gives us a step up on that list to apply for those monies. Doesn't mean we're gonna get them.
Yeah,
Just means that we've gotten a better,
One
we're in a
more.
better position to do that. Then two, grant monies are very limited. I've been looking at TSEP, Montana Department of Transportation, Economic Development, RNDC, the CBDG grants. The money is there, but very, very limited. And so we were lucky to get grants for the lagoons, we really were. But there
okay,
again,
so
you're
with that
looking-
in mind, what about, and we discussed this, I think at the last meeting, what about going to the railroad and saying, look, you guys helped screw up that road in front of the park, how about helping us fix it?
And you have to talk to somebody besides Alan Knutson, cause he's MRL.
Yeah,
Well,
but,
I
I mean, that
have,
would take a letter.
right,
Which railroad's this?
the road to
BN.
Northern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alan doesn't have anything to do with BM.
And he's
And all they
not
could say
even
is
in
jam it.
Laurel anymore, he's in Livingston or somewhere, isn't he?
I'm not
Columbus?
sure, but he,
I can't remember what Shirley told me, but yeah, he's not here. But, so we'd have to, have someone, contact, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, see where we're going with that.
Just
They
ask them.
are very reluctant to do any repairs on their railroad easement. I will just tell you that up front. My brother was way up high in the railroad, retired from the railroad, and so, yeah, I learned a lot from him about just exactly how they go about things.
Well, if we sent, if we
could-
contacted them,
If we contact
they
them
would
and send
either
them a
give us
Hey, it doesn't.
one
hurt
of
to-
two answers,
Yes.
yes or
Right.
no.
Right,
If we don't contact them,
Yeah.
it's a no.
right, that's true. So what we have at the railroad is their easement, which they should be responsible taking care of, and it's a pain in the, it's just horrible right now. Plus the potholes across the tracks, in between the tracks. If we decided to fill those holes, we would have to contact the railroad anyway, because they have to barricade that railroad
right?
and stop traffic, so that we
That's
can
their
get them fixed,
responsibility.
yes. Without one of our people getting killed when the train flies by, so, yeah, it's there's a lot of, responsibility, a lot of work
That's what
trying to
Tim
get
was
these
asking,
things
if
figured
that
out.
survey's accurate, their right of way is 150 feet.
Yeah, you get the bigger map of
But
this.
this map is,
Mm-hmm.
this map is
And-
so old, the highway's still coming down Montana.
Yeah,
And the
but it's,
Oh,
railroad
really?
spur's still going up to the mine.
but over by the park,
Oh,
across there,
really?
it shows you 150 foot.
This is the
Over the
original
edge.
plat for
Right.
the,
So, you know, their easement goes almost right up to the park,
Well, that's what it was saying,
yeah,
goes right up to the edge park.
Right.
There was no street there, so,
That's how we got the baseball, was from the railroad.
Yeah,
mhm.
many, many more.
And how the town, took responsibility of all that care over there is, I don't know.
They had the beat dump there and everything, and then that was part of the railroad property, and then when they gave that up, they donated it to the town. Now, I don't know how the granaries fit into that proposition now.
I don't either.
Yellowstone being, how
Bought
far
that.
we could even pave towards our baseball park.
Mm.
Cause you look, the main railroad, then you look over and it's got that little side spur.
Mm-hmm.
So you know they have property on
Easement
that
on
side.
that side.
Right.
Exactly.
It might come down to where we have about a one lane.
If
That's
that,
ours.
drive.
if that, motorcycle lane,
Yeah, bicycle lane,
right.
park careful.
So there again, the road in front of the park and in Park Drive, what they call Park Drive, is railroad property up to about probably 10 feet from the edge of the park. It is railroad property up to the fence by the ballpark. So we would have to get some kind of agreement in writing
before we
or
start. putting
have the
equipment on
railroad
there.
grant that easement back to us before we start doing any work over there. As it is right now, yeah, we could get some backfill, we could get some gravel. Jeremy could go over and level that out and get it filled and gravelled and make it look halfway decent. But paving, anything like that, we're going to have to set up an agreement with the railroad, with Burlington Northern Santa Fe in order to get that done.
They need
And
to-
see if they'll grant us back part of that easement so that we can do
Maybe
that.
they'll just pave it for us.
Dream on.
All you can do is ask.
Well, they bring in enough equipment at times, so.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do, they do.
Did we ever get any road base
Yep.
in?
Yeah.
There's some down, well, we were gonna put it down by the burn pit, but it was so muddy, there's no way we could've got the truck and pop in there. So the one pile is staged down there by the water fill, and then the other one's here, so then Ellie's able to load the dump truck relatively easy, stage out, so.
Well, what would be the chances of, until we get things worked out at the kids' court and up there by the
That's,
school?
yeah, I told Jeremy that that's probably the next thing is go up there and use a plate whacker and at least put it in somewhere.
Fill in some of those with some
Good,
of the
we're
road
gonna
base.
wait till after the next, school board meeting, cause I said, like I said, Julie's been talking to Terry,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see
Okay.
what happens there.
When's the next school
Yeah.
board meeting?
It is the
It's the
first Tuesday,
Same night ours is,
Oh,
in
Oh, okay.
September. It's
okay,
on
on
Monday.
the 10th,
It would be Monday,
ours is on the 10th, because Labor Day falls on Monday.
yeah, so it'd probably be the same. Or, cause they have a school board meeting the same night we have ours.
okay.
Okay. So we may have
But
to
I'll,
move our
yeah, I'll ask her
regular
if she's,
meeting to
if
another,
they're putting that on the agenda, if they're even up to discuss it.
right.
If they're not, we'll go our merry way and try to patch a hole or two or something.
Well, we could do that because, emulsion is expensive, I know that. It's like $50 or $60 a ton. And I did not have any luck with the, Melcor or any of the, companies that are working on this highway out here because they have their own batch plant, they make their own emulsion, they have their own gravel, but they have already committed
All their
that, yes, they have already made commitments to get rid of that, so we are SOL as far as that part's gone.
As far as,
I've talked to the commissioners,
I'm sure they made arrangements for that long before they started.
Yeah.
well, Red Lodge usually gets most of that, what's left, is what I was told.
They took part of it and paved some more back road out there.
Somebody said one time he picks them up in Billings or somewhere. They have big stockpiles of it.
We're gonna have to look at that and see, you know, where, I've been doing a lot of research, and I really am not familiar with the companies in Billings that have any kind of emulsion, whether it's hot mix or cold mix, what it is. We used to get cold mix from Fisher Gravel, and I think we got hot mix from them too, but as far as I know, they don't do that emulsion anymore, do they? Do you know anything about that, Nate?
Stopped. Haven't heard
I don't
anything
know,
on that.
somebody just said that Fisher Gravel doesn't do it anymore.
They might have gone something to where you actually have to have something to haul it, legitimate type thing, but I can
That
imagine
could
they
be,
stopped
that could
that.
be. Gordon, you were shaking your head when I said something about Red Lodge and,
All the millings off the 212s is kind of around Joliet.
okay,
And they even put a big pile over there in Joliet by the county shop, and I see the guys have dug it out and spread it out over there.
okay.
And then
Well,
they did
I
part
knew
of
that
the.
they had committed,
Yeah, and that was long before they started. They
yeah,
had made that decision.
right. And you almost have to get to them a year before you know where the construction is gonna happen with these contractors for the state. And get in touch with them long before and get your name in pot for the extra.
Yeah, so what they did is they took the majority of that, and when that agreement for them to start paving,
Mm-hmm.
it was actually set up that they would keep the millings close.
Local.
Yeah, local's a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the county, if they had to take it anywhere else, the county had to provide a truck and haul it around as well.
Okay.
So I think there might have been a team effort going on there to get the millings up. Best thing that could happen, and I'm not so sure that using the millings is the right thing to
It's-
use to fix your
No.
roads, because if it's not treated before you put it down,
Yes.
Temporary at best.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like about cold patch,
Mhm.
cause that cold patch is nothing more than just a temporary.
Right, and the aggregate
is-
in the cold patch is large anyway, it's not fines, it's, if you're gonna do
You
regular
even get
pavement.
some cold patch that has got fines in it. It's just the bonding material is
Yeah, okay,
not,
in the emulsion, yeah.
yeah.
And cold patch is usually temporary fix anyway.
Yeah.
Very temporary.
Right. But you can fill a hole with cold patch up to about 40 degrees above zero, and it should last through the winter and until it starts to thaw, and then you're gonna have expansion and contraction and that kind of stuff. and
As
it'll
big as the
eventually
holes are,
crack
what would
and pop.
cement do?
Pardon?
As big as the holes are, what would
It'd crack out,
cement
I
do?
think.
Would it?
Yeah.
I think that if you're gonna
Yeah.
if you're gonna do cement, you mean just on to patch holes,
Yeah.
potholes, I don't think that would work,
Then when you went to tear it up and do it right,
yeah.
you really tear it up.
And concrete is horribly expensive.
Is it really?
Yes. Unless you have an inn. Cause Nate kinda knows about that and he does that kind of thing, so. Okay, so any other suggestions on the budget? Do we want to move those small amounts to the general fund or road and street? Do we have any other suggestions on where we
The
can
safety
move
one,
some money?
I'd put that in road and street, cause at least, and that way when we got update signs or if we need to
Yeah.
have a school sign, at least it's in
That way
there.
we can start building that a little bit,
Mhm.
so we can get a resolution or something going where we start working on it.
So we'll move that to, I gotta get the number here.
And then definitely look into the judge thing on that, if there's anything else that we stand to lose, I guess.
Yeah, we'll need to, you guys will, actually need to go in the budget and look through and look at the expenditures and things like that in there.
Well, yeah, just looking at the office fees to keep it running alone, I mean.
Mhm.
Our phone service.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Phone
we need to
service,
really look at our
computer
phone service.
service, utilities, we have some large expenses on the, because our street lights, and we've discussed this at other budget meetings, maybe contacting Northwest Energy and getting some information from them, which I haven't done yet, so, but I can't do everything, so you guys.
Information on what, per
For, they have Northwest
Pertaining to what?
Energy, from what I understand, has grants available to put in solar or LED lighting, which the town would have to come up with some match funds, but they would be able to do that, which
I'm
would
sure they
cut
could.
down on our cost for street lighting.
I'm sure they got a retrofit bulb that'll even
Right.
put it back. I
And
mean, some of
that,
the heads
you
that
know,
are too old.
it would just be so much better, because the more money we can save on things like that, it, you know, with a better off.
Well, that's a long term, not a short term, because
Right.
your outlay, your initial outlay, you won't recover that
No.
in LED
No,
lights
we
for
won't.
10 years.
No,
Mhm.
but if we can get some information as far as what they're offering for grants and things like that, maybe we could think
Yeah.
about that, you know.
I'd like
for
to
the
be able
future.
to look at it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we can work on our short-term and our long-term, because, you know, our radio read meters for our water meters, we still need quite a few of those,
right.
and if we could get where we could put in 6 or 8 a month.
Into what? Those
Well,
radio
meter
read
read.
meters are going to be a hassle, because, in the first place, we're gonna have to have public hearings to, determine how we're gonna do that, because not everybody in town is gonna wanna give the town $187 or $200 to install a radio read meter when they've already got touch read in there. They're gonna say, why should I do radio read when I've already got an existing meter that works?
So we are pay so much for water now.
Right.
Can't
Well,
be-
Just
And
comp
that's,
'em.
that's
And
gonna
Couldn't we
be,
just
And
comp
with
'em
the,
a
However,
month? Couldn't we just comp 'em a month on water bill and that, and in turn, that's pretty
that's
much
something
it?
that
Give
we
them
have
a-
to discuss at a public hearing.
'Cause-
We have to have a public hearing on that before we do make any decisions as far as spending money on radio
Well, I don't
read
think-
meters.
Because I haven't paid the $180.
Yeah, I think the radio read meters are a really good idea, because it frees up time. They can get them done, if we had radio reads in town,
Mhm.
and this system
15
was
minutes.
put in 10 or 11 years ago,
Mhm.
when we bought this master meter system. And we paid a lot of money for that, but it's never been kept up to, you know, going. It hasn't been a
Why are we the only
continuous,
town in the county
thing.
with meters?
pardon,
Why are we the only town in the county with meters?
radio read?
Any meters? Okay, why people moved here years ago from California and said, well, this is the way we did it then. And got,
Well, this is not California.
I know, but that's how it got in. Cause I can remember when they put them in.
Well, for a community as small as ours, and with a budget as small as ours has been for the last 15 or 20 years or longer, why did we spend $25,000, $30,000 to even start this project when we had a perfectly good system to begin with?
Mayor got a kickback.
I don't know. That was passed when Ed Warner Combs was in office, I believe.
So we can't ask them.
Nope, we can't. But anyway, and then last year, we spent $25,000 plus for a new laptop and to upgrade the radio read.
Does
It
Bridger
ha-
have
did-
water meters?
Pardon?
Anybody know, does Bridger have an actual water meter that's?
Yes, they have water meters, but not radio read.
I think they have meters.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah, I think Bridger has census meters, which you just go around and you touch the meter with the wand, it loads into a handheld. When you get so many meters read, you download them into the computer and you're done with that section, and you go and do another section and do it. I worked with that for 20 years or more and never had a problem with it, never had one problem. One time I had to send the wand in to get it fixed and repaired, and they sent me a replacement until they got ours repaired. It was simply because it got wet. And kind of something happened to it. But, you know, it's just, it's gonna end up costing us more and more and more every single year with this master meter. As far as the meters are concerned, they're about $300 a piece. We're charging the townspeople $187 to put those meters in, so we're losing money there. Plus the time it takes to take them out, put them in, take the old meter out, put the new meter head in, and adjust most of ours are 3/4 inch. We've got people that have 1 inch meters. So we'd have to put you'd have to adapt. I mean, you have to put some kind of adaptation on there in order to make it work. It's cost us probably in the last 6 years, 7 years, close to $100,000 all told. Do you have any other suggestions on adding money to any of the budget? We do have some unallocated cash. I'm looking at water and sewer right now.
Well, we're gonna have to set some aside someplace for replacing a fire hydrant or two.
Right, and I'm looking at that too, so.
Did you
and that-
find out when supposedly?
Yeah, I did a little bit of research. 10 years ago, there was a discussion on the no vote,
No more.
but there was a vote last year. And one was installed, 2 were bought,
Right,
okay? The other one's supposed to be in the shop or wherever. I don't know if anybody knows where it's at. That was
What was?
Somewhere.
that shop has been cleaned
What
out
was,
thoroughly and cleaned and organized. There is not another hydrant in
what
that
was
shop.
the-
there was
vote for?
another hydrant in there because that's where Mike left it. Either in the shop or somewhere, because they had bought them and there was one there.
Is that just, the vote was just to buy
2?
2 hydrants.
2 hydrants, and also there was discussion on buying the used one, and I think that's the one
but it was
that
not,
was installed down
yeah,
here.
it wasn't voted on to buy so many a year then?
No,
Okay.
that was not, at least it wasn't in the record. But I would highly recommend that that's what's done, because I think that's just the tip of the iceberg.
We
If it's
need-
true,
well, Shirley has a report that'll tell us.
Yeah.
okay,
The condition,
And we'll discuss that at the next regular
Right.
meeting.
We
that'd be on the
also,
agenda.
we also have, and I did talk to Mike and I told him to bring his information and his figures. The fire department has annual budget of about $5,500. That is a state entitlement share. It's not what we give them, it comes from the state.
Mhm.
A brand new fire hydrant is gonna cost anywhere from $35,000 to $6,000.